Hello everyone, this is part 4 of What If Naruto Had the Power to Control Vectors, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Naruto observed how quiet it was in Konoha at night. There was hardly anyone out except for the few Anbu that patrolled the village. It was nothing like the land of frost where the night was filled with bangs and crashes, and the occasional scream. Naruto didn't like the quiet because if it was quiet someone may hear. Naruto had taken a shoot in the dark. He expected that the guards that had turned him away were the night guards. So Naruto had hide near the guard post right before the night shift, and long and behold the guards he wanted to show up did. He would have to wait a little longer and keep an eye out for the Anbu patrols, but other than that the plan was set. After Naruto determined enough time had passed and there were no Anbu around, he took 2 pebbles from his pocket and took aim. The guards weren't really paying attention to anything around them, and they looked pretty tried. This was good for Naruto since their reaction time was going to be slow. So Naruto sent the first pebble flying. The guard didn't even notice as the pebble entered his skull, went through his brain and out the other side. It was a clean shoot with hardly any blood splatter at all. The sight of his friend dying did of course put the other guard on alert, so he actually saw the second pebble coming at him. He pulled out a kunai to block the incoming projectile. It didn't do any good however, as the pebble was going so fast that it broke the kunai without losing much speed, and that guard met the same fate as his friend. Naruto got the hell out of there before Anbu found the bodies. Naruto got to his hotel room without anyone seeing him or the bodies. Naruto congratulated himself on a job well done. Naruto knew that once Jiraiya found the file and the bodies he would put 2 and 2 together and Naruto would be the prime suspect, but without any evidence there was nothing Jiraiya could do. After all, Naruto had just used 2 pebbles he found off the side of the road, nothing that could be traced back to him, and if Jiraiya asked for an alibi then Naruto's genin would give him one. Naruto went to sleep thinking about the upcoming Chunin exams. Minato and Jiraiya were looking at the 2 dead guards being examined by medical ninja and Anbu. Jiraiya was pissed. He had just discovered the file of Accelerator's visit and was wondering why he had come to the Leaf as a child. He had planned to ask the guards about it since something seemed off about their testimony. To his surprise however, he showed up and saw Minato and 2 dead guards. Jiraiya explained this all to Minato and Minato was surprised to say the least. "I never thought I'd hear about that case again. Truth be told, I had completely forgotten about it till now," Minato said. "Damn, he was one step ahead of me." Jiraiya swore. "Is there anything here that can prove he did it?" Minato shook his head. "No, they were killed by pebbles of all things, and although I don't know any ninja who uses pebbles as a weapon, any Chunin or higher could have thrown it fast enough it pierced someone's head. Can't we get him for that Anbu he murdered that night since now we know who did it?" Jiraiya asked. "No, because we can't take action for any previous crime since he's here for the Chunin exam," Minato said. "So we can't do anything to him then?" Jiraiya said. "That's about right, but I want to know it. Why did he kill them? He can't be punished for the Anbu murder, so why bother killing these guards?" Minato said, trying to think of an answer. "They must have known something that Accelerator didn't want yous to know about, but if that's the case why did he tell them in the first place or even come to the village that night? And if it was something we couldn't know about, why didn't he kill them that night along with the Anbu? This just doesn't make any sense." Jiraiya said, truly stumped as what Accelerator could be thinking. "I don't think we're going to find out anytime soon, but I'll make sure to have Anbu keep an eye on him," Minato said. The day of the Chunin exams was nice and sunny. The academy was bustling with activity. There were genin from all over the elemental nations all looking for the chance to become Chunin. Naruto, Minima and Sasuke were no exception. They walked thought the halls of the academy, hardly being able to believe that they were students here no so long ago. They walked past an obvious genjutsu on the 2nd floor and proceed to the 3rd floor. When they got there they were greeted with an ear-shattering scream of "Sasuke!" Then Sakura and Ino jumped him from both sides before arguing about who got there first. "Can you 2 give it a rest already?" Kiba said, walking over with Shino. "Try not to get involved, it would just be too troublesome," Shikamaru said, walking over with Choji. "I'm glad to see you guys haven't changed a bit." Minima chuckled. Yeah, well, I wish some of us had. Kiba said, looking over at Sasuke, who was still trying to get Sakura and Ino off him. So it looks like we're taking the Chunin exam together. Choji said in between taking bites of his chips. Yeah, it's going to be so exciting. Naruto said. You guys may want to keep it down, you drawing some looks. A man with glasses and a leaf headband said as he walked towards them. It was only then the group looked around to see that the other genin were looking at them with not so friendly faces. Oh, a bad. Thanks for the advice, Minima said. It really no problem, I glad to help out some rookies. My name's Kabuto, by the way. Rookies. So you must have taken this exam before? Choji asked. Yeah, 7 times in fact. Kabuto said. That many? Sakura asked, having a hard time believing it. Well, it not all that bad. I've been able to get a lot of information from all my times taking it. Kabuto said, pulling out a bunch of cards. I have a little bit of something on every one. Sasuke suddenly looked at Kabuto with a serious expression. Do you have anything on a guy named Gaara and one named Accelerator? Who are those guys? Ino asked Sasuke. Some guys we met a little while ago. They talked a big game and basically thought that we weren't even worth their time. Sasuke replied. What, how dare they? Sakura yelled. There is no way they could best you, Sasuke, not in a million years. Naruto and Minima weren't so sure. Sasuke might be strong, but those two just had something about them that screamed danger. You know the names that make it too easy. Kabuto said, looking through his cards. What they didn't know was that Kabuto had more than just a little bit of information on Accelerator. After all, the man himself did come and make sure Kabuto added a couple of tidbits to his card. We'll start with Gaara. Kabuto applied chakra to the card and a picture of Gaara appeared. Wow, this guy's intense. He completed a B rank mission as a genin. The group looked at the card with wide eyes. There was a genin that strong taken the Chunin exam. Bug deal, we fought one of the 7 swordsmen. Naruto said. There's another thing too. Kabuto said, and the group looked at him with anticipation. All the missions he's done, he has come back without a scratch. This information actually shook Naruto and the other up. Man, this guy isn't someone we should mess around with. Kiba said. Now let's see about Accelerator. Kabuto said, taking a card and looking at it, but when he did, his face changed to utter horror, which only put the rookies more on edge. What is it? Minima asked. This guy the first don't even know what to say. Kabuto said, trying to keep calm. He's your guy's age, but he's not a genin. He's a Chunin, and a B rank threat in the bingo book. Any fear the group had about Gaara was immediately replaced with Accelerator. How is that possible? That's only 1 rank lower than Kakashi. Minima said. I don't know, but it's all here. Kabuto said. He recently became a Chunin for the hidden sound. His genin team is Zaku, Kin, and Dosu. Not only that, but the rumor is that Accelerator has been with his genin team less than a month. He also got his B rank when he killed an entire genin team. Chunin Sensei include all by himself. The rookies paled. Even Sasuke and Naruto, who were the most eager to fight strong opponents, weren't looking too good. What kind of guy has that much power? Naruto asked. And apparently just like Gaara, he's never been hurt on a mission. Kabuto added. Well, at least since he's a Chunin, we wouldn't have to face him. Sakura said, sounding relieved. That might be true, but we still have to deal with his genin team, and who knows what they're like. How about we show you? A voice said, and then a guy who was covered in bandages appeared right in front of Kabuto. The guy threw a punch that Kabuto barely dodged. At least they thought he dodged, but then his glasses broke and Kabuto fell to his knees and vomited. Kabuto! Yelled Minima and Naruto as they ran over to him. I'm okay, Kabuto said, getting to his feet. You 3 certainly did show me, and I have concluded that you are just as crazy and dangerous as your sensei. Kabuto told the 3 ninja from the sound. Please don't put us on the same level as a sensei. The female said. He's way more insane and dangerous than we are. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't watch yourself. The other male of the group said. Naruto wanted to say something back, but before she got the chance, an eruption of smoke came from the far end of the room. When the smoke disappeared, a man in a black trench coat stood in front of the genin with what looked like a small army behind him. Knock it off, you sound ninja. Do you want to be disqualified before the exams have even begun? The man said. Sorry, sir. The ninja with the bandages said, although it was clear he didn't mean it. My name is Abiki, your first examiner and your worst nightmare. He said. Now you have 5 minutes to grab a number and get inside this room or be disqualified. This of course made every rush towards the room. Naruto got a seat right next to Sakura towards the front of the room. When everyone was inside, Ibiki started explaining the test. They would start with 10 points, and if they were caught cheating then they would lose 2 points. If one of them lost all their points then their whole team would fail. The last question would be given in the last 10 minutes and that was all there was to it. Ibiki started the clock. The test begun. Naruto opened the doors and everyone in the room looked at him. They didn't look too happy either. Naruto could guess why. He was less than 3 times their age after all. Naruto kept walking, ignoring the other Chunin hate-filled stares. Naruto was in a lounge that all the Chunin senseis were allowed to use while they wanted for their genin. Naruto noticed that all the Chunin stuck to their little groups. Waterfall ninja with other waterfall ninja. Leaf ninja with other leaf ninja. There was no mingling with the other shinobi. Unfortunately, Naruto didn't have a group to seat with since he was the only sound Chunin in the leaf. Naruto looked around the lounge to see where he could sit when he noticed that it wasn't just Chunin in the lounge. Sitting at the Leaf's table was none other than the Hokage and his wife. He was chatting with a bunch of other Chunin. There was Kakashi, a guy with a bowl haircut, another guy with a cigarette and a beard, and a woman with eyes as red as Naruto's own. Naruto walked over to their table. Hello Hokage, mind if I seat here? Naruto asked. Minato gave Naruto a look that showed he was obviously not invited, but when Naruto didn't leave, Minato said he could. Naruto sat down right across from the Hokage. No one wanted to talk, which led to some very awkward silence. Kushina wanting to do something about it and tried starting up a conversation. Accelerator right. You're so young to be a Chunin. Yes Lady Hokage, I'm a little young, but it's not so unheard of, is it? I heard that Itachi Uchiha became a Chunin even younger than I did. Naruto said. Well yes, I guess that's true. How do you like the leaf? Kushina asked. It's nice, although it's very different from what I'm used to. Naruto replied as a waiter came by and he ordered a drink. Well, I'm pretty sure everyone likes their home better than anywhere else. Kushina said. I guess so, but hey, I heard you daughters are participating in the Chunin exams. You must be proud of them. Naruto said. I am, and I'm sure you're proud of you genin as well. Kushina said. The waiter came by and handed Naruto his drink. I am proud of them, I just hope they don't go killing ever other genin team, especially the one your daughter's on. After all, you've already lost 2 kids, it would be tragic to lose the other 2. I think if I was that terrible a parent I would kill myself. Naruto took a drink of his beer with his eyes on Kushina. Everyone fell dead silent. No one ever brought up Kushina missing kids. It was a very touchy subject for her, and not only did this guy bring it up, he just implied that his genin team was going to kill her daughters. Kushina was gripping the side of the table with shaking hands. Her hair was covering her eyes so no one could tell what expression she had, but it couldn't be good. Kushina just clammed down. Minato said, trying his best to not let things get out of hand. Kushina didn't listen, however, as she stood up and hit the table so hard that it split in half. Listen up, bastard. Kushina yelled as Naruto sat there calming, sipping his drink. You and your genin might be some big shoots in the tiny little village you call home, but this is the big leagues and there's no way your wimpy little genin could ever beat my girls. So when you have to take them back to your village bloody and defeated, just remembers this conversation. The only sound in the whole room was Naruto taking the last sip of his drink. Then he placed it on the table, but because the table was broken down the middle, the bottle rolled off and fell to the floor with a crash. I think you're the one who thinks they're a big shoot. Naruto said, standing up. There are a lot of things you don't know, but you'll find out before the Chunin exams end, and when you do, just remember this conversation. Naruto said, walking to the doors. You know, I've known a couple people like you. The man with cigarette said. Naruto stopped and looked back at him. People who are so powerful that they think they're invincible, but let me tell you something, there will come a time where you are real trouble and have to admit you lost. Naruto smiled at him. I know that I'm not invincible. I know that it's possible that someone may be able to hurt me one day, but it's also possible that the sun won't rise tomorrow. But let's face it, the sun is going to rise tomorrow, and it's going to keep rising. Naruto then left the lounge. Minato watched him leave. It had taken all of his self-control to not do what Kushina had done. Accelerator had walked into the leaf like he owned the place and had done whatever he wanted. Minato was positive he had killed those guards, but there was still nothing he could do about it. There was however something his daughters could do. When they wiped the floor with accelerators, Genin Accelerator would finally lose that cocky attitude and Minato would enjoy every second of it. Naruto had figured out the point of the test. The problem was that she didn't have any good way to cheat. Sasuke could use his Sharingan, and Minima was sure to figure out something, but Naruto had no idea. She could try glancing over at Sakura's paper since she seemed to know the answers, but not only was she likely to get caught that way, but it would also take too long. Naruto went over every jutsu she had to see what she could do. Then an idea hit her. She did some hand signs under her desk and slammed her palm on the underside of the desk. Naruto sneezed to cover up the popping sound of her summon. A small orange toad was now sitting on Naruto's lap. Hey, what's you? Gamakichi tried to say, but Naruto put her hand over his mouth. You need to be quiet, Naruto whispered. Gamakichi nodded and Naruto let go. Why did you summon me? Gamakichi asked. I need a distraction so I can cheat on this test. You think you can do that? Naruto said. Sure thing, Gamakichi said as he hopped off Naruto's lap. When he was a little ways away, he jumped on top of a girl's test. The girl was so shocked by the sudden appearance of a toad that she screamed and tried to hit it. This caused everyone in the room to look and see what was going on. Gamakichi hopped around the whole room with everyone trying to catch him, but no one succeeding. Eventually Abiki calmly walked up to where the toad was hopping around and with a flick of the wrist he caught him. Well, looks like that's it for me, Gamakichi said before disappearing. Everyone go back to your tests and shut up, Abiki yelled. Everyone did just that, but luckily for Naruto she now had every question filled out. Now all she had to do was wait for the last question. When the time ticked down, Abiki called the class's attention. I'm only going to say this once, but you can choose whether or not to take the final question. Why wouldn't we take the question? Someone said. Because if you miss this question you'll be a genin forever. If that's too much pressure then feel free to leave, Abiki said. This got the class discussing and a couple teams did leave. When it looked like no one else was going to leave, Abiki said they all passed, which led into a speech on about being a Chunin. Then something really strange happened. Something came through the window and a giant banner was displayed with a woman with purple hair standing in front of it. Hello maggots, I'm your next examiner, Anko, the woman said. The class was too stunned to say anything. You're early, Anko, Abiki said from behind the poster. Whatever, no one wants to hear your speech anyways, Anko said. Now you maggots, you are to run to the forest of death, and make it double time. Anko them jumped out the window with the genin following. All the genin teams made it to the forest of death where Anko made then sign a release form them explained to them the test. It was pretty simple, but it guaranteed that at least half of them would fail. Naruto, Minima and Sasuke got an earth scroll before heading into the forest. The forest of death really earned its name. They hadn't been there for too long, but Naruto already lost count of the thing that tried to eat her. It was frustrating because they had to keep using time and energy to fight these things. It took them the entire day to finally find a team. Well, team wasn't really the right word since it was only one person. Did you get lost? Minima taunted the grass nim. The grass ninja sent him a wicked smile. You three are quiet the bunch, the grass nin said. Then out of nowhere a giant purple snake appeared and hit Naruto with its tail, sending her flying off into the forest. The snake went after her and Minima and Sasuke were going to follow it, but the grass nin rushed them. The grass nin was really good at taijutsu. He kept finding openings in Minima's and Sasuke's defense. He was also hard to hit since he was able to bend at impossible angles, and when Minima did manage to hit him with one of her chains it would turn out she just hit a log. So things were going bad. Come on, I thought you'd be more of a challenge. Aren't you an Uchiha and the Hokage's daughter? The grass nin said. Sasuke sent a furball at him, and Minima used the flame to hide her chain. She felt the chain hit something, but when the fire cleared it was just another log. Nice try, the grass nin said from right behind them. How did he get there? Minima thought right before the grass nin kicked her in the stomach. She was sent flying, but used her chains to dig into the ground and stop herself. She was still sent a pretty good distance away however, which gave the grass nin some quality time with Sasuke. Come on Sasuke, are you really this weak? The grass nin said as he easily dodged Sasuke kunai swigs. Sasuke didn't say anything since he was running out of energy. He could feel his movements becoming more sluggish, but then a kunai was suddenly beside the grass nin and it had an explosives tag on it. Sasuke and the grass nin broke apart to avoid getting blown up. Too bad for the grass nin. Minima and gotten back to them and had wrap a chain around the grass nin's arm keeping him from moving. Sasuke without thinking sent a fireball at him. The grass nin went up in flames. Minima rushed to Sasuke as he collapsed to his knees. Sasuke, are you alright? Minima asked. Yeah, I'm fine, just used too much chakra. By the way, thanks for the help, Naruto. Sasuke said, looking up at the trees. Naruto jumped down and landed in front of Sasuke and Minima. I didn't do that much, I just threw one kunai. She said. Yeah, but that one kunai gave us the opening we needed. Minima said. That was actually pretty good. The grass nin said, emerging from the fire. Although now Team 7 could see that he wasn't a grass nin. Half his face had peeled off, reviling someone that was hated by the whole village. Minima clenched her fist and bit her teeth together. Sasuke and Naruto could see the rage building up inside her. Orochimaru, what are you doing here? Orochimaru gave a snake-like smile. That's it. Come on now, Minima, I haven't seen since you were a baby. This only made Minima more pissed. Orochimaru, where is my brother? Minima hissed. Wouldn't you like to know? Orochimaru said. That was the final straw for Minima. She charged at Orochimaru, all strategy and reason leaving her mind. Minima, we can't fight him. Naruto screamed, but it fell on deaf ears. Minima continued to run at Orochimaru. You're not the one I came here to see. So could you please leave me alone? Orochimaru said, bringing his hand into a fist. When Minima got close enough, he went for her stomach. She wasn't even thinking about dodging and would have been hit if it wasn't for Naruto pushing her aside just in time. Minima went tumbling to the ground, getting dust and dirt all over her clothes. What the hell? Minima said, sitting up only for her to go speechless. In front of her was Orochimaru with his fist logged inside Naruto's stomach. The punch that Minima should have been hit with. Naruto's face was twisted in pain. When Orochimaru brought back his hand, Naruto fell to her knees, then vomited blood before completely collapsing into it. Then Orochimaru's neck extended to an impossible length all the way to Sasuke. My gift to you, Orochimaru said before biting Sasuke's shoulder. Sasuke's scream was horrible and Minima was sure that the whole forest could hear. Thankfully it didn't last long as Sasuke passed out from pain. Orochimaru retracted his neck, looking very pleased with himself, then looked Minima in the eyes. Minima was too scared to move as Orochimaru walked towards her. He stopped just in front of her and said something that would haunt Minima for a long time to come. You know, Naruto is much more behaved than you three. Minima had no idea how long she sat there staring off into the distance. All she knew was that when she did regain her senses, Orochimaru was gone and the sun was setting. Minima stood up on shaky legs. It was only now she realized how hurt she was. Her clothes had cuts and rips all over them. Her hair was tangled in knots and her skin was bruised. The sad part was that she was in best condition on her team. Sasuke was out cold in a not so peaceful sleep. Naruto's face and hair was stained with her own blood and her stomach was tinted red. Thankful the Kyuubi had taken care of most of her injuries, but Naruto didn't seem like she would be waking up anytime soon. Minima knew they couldn't stay where they were, so she dragged Sasuke and Naruto to a cave she found nearby. She tried to treat them as best as she could, but she was no medic nin. All she could really do was make them comfortable and make sure that no one else attacked them. She worked into the night setting traps. Minima was exhausted and hurt, but she was the only one who could keep watch, so she would have to stay up. She sat by the entrance of the cave trying not to fall asleep. More than once she was almost taking to the land of dreams, but managed to keep herself awake by telling herself that once Naruto woke up she could sleep. The night turned into day and the day came with problems. Minima was so tired that she couldn't really say she was keeping watch, she was just keeping her eyes opened. That's why the voice in front of her shocked her so much. You're not a very good lookout, are you? For the first time in a while Minima actually saw what was in front of her, and it was the people she less wanted to see. Accelerator's Genin team was standing on front of her with smug looks, and to Minima's displeasure, well rested. Why don't you wake Sasuke so we can have a little fun with him? Dosu said. I won't let you touch them. Minima said. She was a little more awake now, being faced with an enemy, but even she knew she was in no shape to fight them, as it felt like it took a lifetime to get to her feet. She threw a few kunais at them, but they were going so slow that an academy student could have blocked it. Dosu did just that and the kunais bounced off his gauntlet. That was just sad, Kin said as the three genin jumped towards Minima. Minima shot two chains from her hands at the three, but once again they were just too slow. Damn it, why am I so weak? Minima thought. They were closing in on Minima and she was just too tired to dodge. There was nothing she could do. Then suddenly a green blur appeared out of nowhere. The blur managed to kick all three of the genin away before landing to reveal it was actually a person. Minima couldn't believe she had just been saved and asked the question that everyone was thinking. Who are you? The boy stood up to his full height. I am the handsome devil of the leaf, Rock Lee. Minima didn't know what to say. A guy she didn't even know had saved her and her team. Dosu was not amused. You should have never come to save your girlfriend since now you're the one who's going to be put in the ground. He said, rolling up his sleeve to reveal his gauntlet and rushed Lee. No, you will be the one in the ground, Lee said before disappearing. Dosu stopped wondering where Lee went when he hears something beneath him. Front lotus. Dosu got a sharp kick to his chin which pushed him into the air. The Lee suddenly appeared behind Dosu and wrapped him bandages, then slammed him to the ground right after Zaku softened it. Lee returned back to his position in front of Minima while Dosu pulled himself out of the ground. Now you've pissed me off, Dosu said. He rushed Lee and side-swung at Lee. Lee managed to block, but then his ears started to bleed. Lee felt dizzy and couldn't see straight until he eventually fell to the ground. Big talk from someone so weak. Now on to Sasuke. Minima was in real trouble now. Lee was out of the picture and it was still 3 against 1. Luckily fate seemed to be on Minima's side. Human bullet tank. A voice yelled and then a huge green ball came rolling at Zaku, who was forced to dodge. After the green ball missed, it shrunk down to reveal it was Choji with Ino and Shikamaru behind him. The worms just keep coming, Dosu commented. Oh man, this is such a drag. Shikamaru said. Hey, you can at least act like you're willing to help out our friend. Ino yelled at him. Guys, Minima said, about ready to cry. So couldn't believe that so many people were willing to help her, even thought they were supposed to be enemies in this test. I've had just about all I can take with you, Leaf Ninja. I'm going to kill you, Dosu said, but when he tried to run at Ino he discovered he couldn't move. What is going on? Then Dosu noticed that there was a shadow connected to a smirking Shikamaru. Shadow imitation technique, Shikamaru said, then moved his arms up, forcing Dosu to do the same. Kin, Zaku, do something, Dosu said. Alright Kin, what should we do? Zaku asked, only to notice that Kin wasn't responding. Kin, what wrong? Sorry, this isn't Kin right now. Please try again, Kin said, pointing over to Ino, who was lying unconscious. So you took over Kin's body. Well, in that case, Zaku blasted a strong gust of wind at Kin, causing her to hit a tree. How could you do that? She's your teammate, Minima yelled. But right now she's someone else. Kill her, Zaku, Dosu said. I wouldn't do that, a voice from the tree said. Everyone looked up to see Neji standing on a branch. Dosu's face was twisted in anger. They were outnumbered and 2 of them weren't even able to move anymore. Things were getting really bad, and it only got worse when he and everyone else felt an evil aura coming from Sasuke. He had these black marking all around his body and he seemed to glow purple. In the blink of an eye he had pushed Zaku to the ground and dislocated both his arms. It was such a horrific scene that Shikamaru let go of his jutsu. Sasuke, stop it. This isn't like you, Minima shouted, nearly crying. This seemed to break whatever spell was on Sasuke as the marking disappeared and he looked around confused. What happened? We're being attacked, Minima answered, glad Sasuke snapped out of it. Sasuke turned to the only able-bodied sound ninja, but the sound nin held up his hand. Stop, I know when I'm defeated so I'll cut you a deal. He laid a heaven scroll on the ground. You take this and we get to leave. Minima and Sasuke glared at him, but accepted in the end. Once he left, Shikamaru and Choji woke up Naruto and they, along with everyone else, demanded to know what happened. Minima explained their run-in with Orochimaru to the people who weren't there. So Orochimaru is in the leaf. That's a scary thought, Ino said. I'm more worried about that mark on Sasuke's shoulder, Lee said once he recovered. Yeah, I'll have to get someone to look at it, Sasuke said. Naruto, there's one other thing I want to mention, Minima said. What is it? Naruto asked. After you and Sasuke passed out, Orochimaru brought up Naruto. Everyone in the group gasped. What did he say? Ino asked. Nothing much, but one thing I know for sure is that Naruto's still alive. Minima replied. Well, that's a good thing. Shikamaru said. Yeah, but it just makes me so mad that Orochimaru still has him. Minima said. You should tell your dad. Ino said. But I have to get out of this forest first. Minima said. But you have the scroll that guy left. Choji said. But I can't take that. Minima said, waving his hands in front of her. I didn't do anything to fight them. That doesn't matter. Ino said, handing her the scroll. If Orochimaru really is in the village, then you telling you dad is much more important than the Chunin exams. Minima looked at everyone with tears in her eyes. Thanks, everyone. Just make sure to get your brother back. Ino said, giving her the thumbs up. I want to see how hot he is compared to Sasuke. Everyone laughed at Ino's comment. I'll make sure of it. Minima said, giving Ino the thumbs up. But first I really need to get some sleep. Minima said, falling to the floor. The last thing she heard before falling asleep was Naruto saying, Don't worry Minima, this time I'll keep watch over you. When Minima woke up from her well-deserved rest, the team headed out for the tower. They got there in just under the 2-day mark. They were surprised to learn that they were the third team to arrive following Gaara's team and Team 8. Minima wanted to tell her dad about Orochimaru right away, but they were forbidden to leave the tower until the test was done. So they spent the rest of the time waiting. More teams filed in, and by the end of the test there were a total of 7 teams. Most of them were Leaf, but unfortunately the Sound team made it too. They were all taken to a big room where the Hokage explained the purpose of the Chunin exams as well as announced they would be holding a preliminary. He also offered anyone the chance to drop out if they didn't think they were ready. Kabuto did. Minima suggested that Sasuke do the same because of that mark, but he said he would finish the preliminary then have it looked at. The remaining genin were told to go wait in the balcony with their Junin senseis. Naruto couldn't help but notice that all the Leaf Junin were eyeing the Sound genin as they walked up to Accelerator, who was leaning over the railing looking incredibly bored. When Minima met up with Kakashi, she told him everything about their encounter with Orochimaru, but Kakashi surprised her when he told her that he and the Hokage already knew. Then he went on to tell Sasuke about not letting the crew's seal get out of hand, and that after his match he would be sent to Itachi so he could remove it. Then the huge screen in the room lit up and showed the names of the first match. Sasuke Uchiha vs Yoroi Akado. At the start of the match it looked like Sasuke was going to lose due to his chakra being drained, but he managed to beat his opponent by using taijutsu and some clever thinking. Then Sasuke and Kakashi left to go see Itachi on the curse mark. Zaku Abumi vs Shino Aburame. Even though one of Zaku's arms was unusable, he still fought. Shino used a series of assaults with his bugs, and when it looked like Zaku was surrounded he revealed that he could use his other arm. It didn't change anything however, because when he tried to blast air at the bugs his arms exploded, making Shino the winner. The Leaf Junin looked glad that one of Accelerator's genin got his ass handed to them, but Accelerator didn't seem concerned. Misumi Tsurugi vs Kankuro. It looked like Misumi had won the match within a couple seconds of starting by threatening to break Kankuro's neck, but Kankuro revealed that Misumi was only attacking a puppet. Then the puppet broke Misumi's bones, making Kankuro the winner. Ino Yamanaka vs Sakura. The match was as average as it could get. The girls battled it out in a series of punches and kicks, but neither one of them did anything that really posed a serious threat to their opponent. The match dragged on and Accelerator had no problem expressing how stupid the match was. The match ended with Ino pulling off a semi-impressive ninjutsu that Sakura managed to break out of. Then they knocked each other out. Tenten vs Temari. Temari wiped the floor with Tenten. It wasn't like Tenten was a bad ninja, it was just that her matchup couldn't have been worse. Temari used her giant fan to blow away all of Tenten's weapons, and the Tenten herself was set flying into the air only to land on Temari's fan. Shikamaru Nara vs Kin Chuchi. Kin was able to use Senbons and string to throw Shikamaru off his game, but Shikamaru ran his shadows under Kin's wire and got her to hit her head against the back wall, giving him the victory. All the Leaf Junin and even the Hokage looked really excited. If Accelerator's last genin could be taken out, then he would be forced to leave the Leaf. What they didn't know was that Naruto didn't care if all his genin were defeated. If that happened, then Naruto just wouldn't take part in the invasion, and that was perfectly fine with him. Kiba Inuzuka vs Naruto Namikaze. It was a fight between the Leaf's biggest hotheads. The fight was pretty even at first, with Akamaru transforming into Kiba then attacking Naruto using his Fang passing Fang technique. Naruto matched him blow for blow however by making a ton of Shadow's clones, and piling them up to slow Kiba down. This kept Naruto from taking any blows as Kiba had to sort through Shadow clones that would just replace themselves as soon as they were destroyed. Eventually Kiba ran out of chakra and was forced to give up the match. Minima Namikaze vs Neji Hyuga. Minima got ready to face Neji. She knew about the Hyuga's gentle fist technique, so Minima would have to keep her distance. When the fight started neither one of them made a move. Then Neji started to tell her how he was going to win the match because of fate, and that she should just give up now. Minima however wasn't going to give up just because some prick told her to, so if Neji wouldn't make the first move then Minima would. Minima slammed her hand on the ground sending her chains under the floor and over to Neji. When the chains burst through the ground Neji easily evaded them. Minima kept pulling her chains back underground and kept trying to hit Neji, but every time he would dodge with elegant movement. You know you'll never hit me like that, Neji said pointing to his eyes. Your chains might look a little different, but they're still chakra which my eyes can see even though the ground. Minima hissed knowing he was right but not wanting to give her attack. She would have kept trying to, however Neji worked his way closer and closer to Minima. Minima knew that she couldn't beat Neji in a taijutsu battle since that was his specialty. She kept backing off throwing kunais to halt his approach, but she could only keep him off for so long. Neji was slowly making his way towards Minima not wanting to take any risks, but if he got close enough or impatient enough then he could charge her and Minima wasn't sure she would be able to stop him. It was only too late that Minima realized that she had backed up all the way to the wall. Her only option now was to run past Neji or try to fight him off. Fighting him off next to a wall was defiantly not a good idea so she tried to run around him. That was when Neji made his move right when Minima took one step forward to run away from the wall Neji rushed in front of her forcing her in an awkward fighting position. Minima's first instinct was to shoot her chains at Neji, but when she brought her right arm up Neji hit the chakra points on her arm leaving it more or less useless. It was all downhill from there. With Minima not able to use her domain arm and being forced to fight against a wall Neji was able to hit all her chakra points. To Minima's credit she didn't do a terrible job defending, but as more of her chakra points were hit and more of her body becoming useless it was a losing fight. The match was called with Neji the winner after Minima collapsed to her knees. It was a good fight, it was just that Neji had more experience and could read Minima moves. Minima was brought back up to the balcony where So was forced to sit near the railing to be able to watch the rest of the fights. Lee vs. Gaara. The match started off not looking good for Lee. Gaara's sand which his siblings called the ultimate defense stopped Lee dead in his traces. So everyone in the arena was surprised when Lee took off his leg weight and was suddenly able to get though Gaara's defense which was apparently the first time it ever happened. Gaara had to resort to using his sand armor. Lee managed to kick him away from his gourd and it looked like he would win, but Gaara got a hold of Lee's arm with his sand and in a gruesome display crushed it. Then he did the same with Lee's leg. Gaara probably would have killed him too if Guy didn't step in. Choji Akamaki vs Dosu Kinuta. The final was the match that all the Chunin were looking forward to. It would decide if Accelerator got to stay or not. It didn't help that Choji wanted to quit before the match even started, however. Luckily Asuma managed to talk him into fighting by offering him food. Choji immediately used his human bullet tank to stop Dosu sound from reaching him. It was a good plan, but all Dosu had to do was use the water in Choji's body to transmit his sound leaving him as the winner much to the disappointment of the Leaf. All the victors drew a number to see who they would fight in the tournament after the month-long break. Naruto would fight Neji, something that Naruto was ready to do since he had beaten her sister. Sasuke would fight Gaara. Kankuro would fight Shino. Shikamaru would fight Temari, and Dosu would fight the winner of their match. Once that was done they were dismissed. I'm so proud of you too, Kushina said on the way home. Minato wasn't with then since he had to start setting up the Chunin exams and look into Orochimaru's little plan. That's great mom, but I lost. Minima said still mad about the whole thing. That's okay, it was your first exam and hardly anyone pass on their first go. Kushina said sounding upbeat. Hey, can I ask you something? Naruto asked. Go ahead, Kushina said thinking about what she was going to cook for dinner. Why did the Chunin seem so happy when one of Accelerator's genin lost? I know he's kind of an asshole, but they were a few people like that. Naruto said thinking she may be reading too deep into the situation. Kushina missed a step, but recovered without the girls noticing. That is just because he said so very rude things about the leaf. Naruto didn't think that was all he said, but if her mom didn't want to tell her then it was none of her business. Also I need to tell you girls a few things, this especially concerns you Naruto. Kushina said. The girls looked at Kushina wondering what she had to say. You know that kid from the sand Gaara? Well he's a Jinchuriki. This hit Naruto hard. She never expected meet another Jinchuriki so soon, and he was even the same age as her. This got Naruto thinking about how different they were. He didn't even hesitate when crushing Lee's arm. Could she have been like that if she had stayed on the path she was on before Mito left? She wanted to say no, but she wasn't sure. Because of this Minima and I have decided we're going to teach you to the Rasengan. Kushina said. Minima and Naruto both perked up at that. They had wanted to learn that jutsu since as long as they could remember, but Kushina always said they were too young. It was the one thing Naruto tantrums never got her. But what about a training which Kakashi? Minima asked. There won't be any. Kakashi is training Sasuke personally since he's granted to fight Gaara. Kushina said. But if he does lose to Gaara it will be up to you Naruto to beat him, so you have to win against Neji. Kushina said. Alright I'll do my best. Naruto said. You better be because learning the Rasengan is going to be anything but easy. Kushina said. Naruto walked towards his hotel thinking about how bored he was going to be for the next month. He honestly kind of wanted Dosu to lose, then he wouldn't have to participate in the invasion, although he was sure Orochimaru still would have made him show up. Naruto was thinking how much this month would suck when Naruto was suddenly aware that someone was following him. Naruto turned around to see who would be stupid enough to sneak up on a B-rank ninja. When he did, however, he was caught off guard. Not because it was a serious threat behind him. No, far from it, there was a square rock behind him. Naruto had only ever been stumped a few times in his life, but he seriously had no idea how to react to this awful disguise. Should he just walk away and pretend he didn't see anything? That seemed like the best option, but before Naruto was able to completely turn around, the rock flew up into the air and a boy with a long scarf ran at him. Naruto stepped to the side a little, not wanting to have to explain to Anbu why the boy had a broken wrist. The boy ran right past him, not being able to stop himself, and ran right into a trash can. Wow, you're really good, the boy said, climbing out of the pile of rotting food and discarded clothes. I'm Konohamaru, what's your name? He asked. Naruto walked right past him, hoping that he would just go away. Naruto already had to look after 3 brats, and he didn't think he could deal with even talking to another one. Hey, wait up, the brat said, running after Naruto. Don't talk to me, don't you know I'm not a leaf ninja? Naruto, hoping that would be enough to get him to leave. It was not. Of course I know that I can see your headband. Do you think I'm an idiot or something? Konohamaru said. Yes, was Naruto's simple answer. Konohamaru didn't even seem to hear Naruto's reply as he kept on talking. You're here for the Chunin exams, right? I'm a Chunin brat. Naruto wished he hadn't said that as the brat's eyes lit up like a firework. Well, really, does that mean you go all over the elemental and do cool missions? If I say yes, will you go away? Naruto said, thinking how much trouble he would get in if he broke this kid's arm. Once again the kid didn't seem to hear him. Hey, I have a question for you. Since you're not a leaf ninja, have by any chance you seen 3 girls? The names are Mito, Hanabi and Hitomi. Naruto looked at him through the corner of his eye. Naruto couldn't believe he mentioned those names to a complete stranger. The runaways was supposed to be a secret, so other nations wouldn't go looking for them, although Naruto was pretty sure that the other nations had this information by now. What are they to you? They're my friends, of course. Konohamaru said. Naruto doubted it, none of the girls had ever mentioned him before. No kid, I haven't seen him, so can to leave now. Finally Naruto's words seemed to get through to him. Alright then, fine, I can see that I'm not wanted here. Konohamaru said, leaving Naruto alone. Naruto relived that he finally got that brat to leave, but why did he ask about the girls? Naruto was truly puzzled by this. He didn't seem like a close friend, so why was he concerned? As Naruto was thinking about this, a girl almost ran into him. She wasn't looking where she was going, and got so close to hitting Naruto that Naruto was positive that his reflection was going to send her flying back and break a few of her bones, but at the last second she spun of her foot to avoid Naruto. For a brief moment their eyes met. Naruto could see the reflection of his red eyes on the white pupilless eyes of the girl. That was all he saw before she ran past him. Naruto looked back at her to catch one last look to make sure he wasn't mistaken, but he knew he wasn't. The girl that had just passed him was Hanabi's older sister Hinata, but that girl wasn't at all what Hanabi described. Hinata was working hard. Naruto saw the sweat on her face when she passed. Hinata also had a look of determination in her eyes. Hanabi had described Hinata as a nervous wreck, but Naruto could see that this was no longer the case. It looks like the girl's departure had changed this village more than they thought. Come on, it's not that hard. Sugetsu said. Shut up. It's only easy for you because you're made of the stuff. Hanabi said. The girls had been working at their elemental chakra training ever since Naruto left. The training was going really well if you asked the girls. If you asked Sugetsu, however, he would say it was going painfully slow. They were set up by a lake to help Hanabi with her water release. Sugetsu had told her that the first step to mastering water release was to control already existing water, so that was what Hanabi was trying to accomplish. She would put her hand in the lake and then try to move the water up her arm and eventually to her face. Hanabi had managed to get it half up her forearm, but that's when it would become too hard on her and the water would fall back down to the lake. Hanabi was actually the farthest in her training thanks to Sugetsu's help, but then again he asked Hanabi about opening the scroll every few hours. Mito and Hitomi were also making remarkable progress for not having a teacher to help them. Mito was working on her lighting release. She was holding a metal rod with the light bulb on the end. Her goal was to channel her lighting chakra into the rod and light up the bulb. She has gotten it a few times, but every time it stayed on for less than a second. Hitomi was holding a regular piece of paper and was trying to burn it. The only thing she has been able to do was make it warmer, and recently it even started to crinkle. While the girls were doing this for hours on end, Sugetsu would spend time swimming in the lake. Come on, just opening the scroll. I promise I won't leave when I get the sword. Besides, you can still work on this stuff on the go. Sugetsu said from the lake. I told you before, I'm not opening until I feel like I've made real progress on my water release. Hanabi said, getting tired of Sugetsu's complaining. He was like a little kid. But you have made really good progress, and so have Mito and Hitomi. Sugetsu whined. Hanabi was getting fed up with Sugetsu and lost her concentration, causing the water on her arm to fall back into the lake. See what you made me do, now I have to start over. Hanabi yelled. Starting over isn't that big of a deal. Sugetsu said, lifting his arm above the water, and as if it was as simple as breathing, Sugetsu made the water climb up his arm all the way to his hand. They continued this routine for 2 weeks as the girls got more in tune with their chakra. Mito was able to keep the light on for much longer. Hitomi's paper turned black and started to smoke, and Hanabi was able to get the water up to her shoulder, and this is why Hanabi finally decided to open the scroll. As much as they hated to admit it, Sugetsu had helped them considerably. Even with Hitomi and Mito, who had chakra natures he knew little about. He had also helped them with their taijutsu, so now they were in the land of waves, standing in front of the great Naruto bridge. Hey, doesn't he want his name to be kept a secret? Sugetsu said, taking yet another sip of water. Yeah, I don't know why he has a bridge named after him. Mito said. I guess it doesn't matter, let's just get my sword. I don't want to stay here too long. We're in the land of fire, and if you three are discovered, Accelerator will have my head. Sugetsu said. I agree. Hitomi said. They walked around town asking about the sword, and they found out where it was. They also found out that it was Kakashi, Naruto, Minama and Sasuke who took down Zabuza. Who knew that it would be Accelerator's sisters who took down Zabuza sensei? Sugetsu said, walking up the mountain where the villagers supposedly buried Zabuza. Mito was also surprised. She didn't think her sister was strong enough to take on one of the 7 swordsmen. Naruto could beat Zabuza, Mito was sure of that, but Sugetsu was just a swordsman apprentice, so Mito wasn't sure if he could beat Zabuza, and Sugetsu kick all 3 of their asses during taijutsu training. So did that mean that Minama and Naruto were already that much stronger than her, and possibly as strong as Sugetsu? Mito clenched her fists at the thought. She was falling behind, she would have to pick it up. Unknown to her, Hanabi and Hitomi were having similar thought. They got to the top of the mountain, and there it was, Sugetsu's new sword sticking out of the ground. Come to Papa, Sugetsu said, running towards it. Mito, Hitomi and Hanabi didn't know what to make of the sword. It was huge, they didn't even see how anyone could lift it alone fight with it, but Sugetsu seemed to have no problem pulling it out of the ground. He examined the blade, letting the sunlight hit it. Oh yeah, Sugetsu said before strapping it to his back. So now that you have your sword, are you going to leave us? Hitomi said. Sorry, but no, you see, not only am I going to keep my promise, but I have a special interest in you three. Sugetsu said. The girls were stunned. Sugetsu had an interest in them. He certainly didn't show it when he was training them. And what is this interest? Mito asked. Sugetsu smiled. Don't you remember my goal? Yeah, it to collected the 7 swords. Hanabi said. That's only half of it. Sugetsu said. You see, I can't possibly use all the swords at one time, so I want to recreate the 7 swordsmen, and Accelerator has so kindly shown me some good candidates. How do you three feel about learning some kenjutsu? The girls couldn't believe what they were hearing. Sugetsu was offering to give them one of the 7 swords. Mito was just thinking of ways to get more power and Sugetsu was offering it to her. Well, I guess it wouldn't hurt. Mito said, trying not to sound too excited. Alright, I teach you a few things, but since Accelerator's going to be done with the invasion soon, we better get back to the Land of Frost. Sugetsu said. Hi. The girls said, excited to have a second sensei. Konoha asterisk. Naruto was sitting in the arena where the final stage of the Chunin exams would take place. He had been bored out of his mind for the past month. His only source of entertainment had been watching Hanabi's sister. He had discovered that she ran the same path every day as part of her training. Naruto liked to compare her to Hanabi and see what the difference between them was. She wasn't as strong as Hanabi yet, but her pace was incredibly, and if Hanabi didn't work just as hard, then Hinata would catch up. Watching Hinata was not nearly enough to keep him entertained for long, however. Naruto was hoping that these fights could brighten him up a bit before the invasion began. Naruto's last genin would not be fighting, however, since he got himself killed on Orochimaru's orders. It was no loss to Naruto. Dosu was nothing to him, and honestly his fights were boring to watch. Thinking of fights, the genin were lining up in the arena. The tournament was about to begin. That will be it for this video. If you want more, comment down below, like, subscribe. And see you guys later.